Day on Lisa Brady, Fox News. But more than 20 states are voting already.
Early mail-in voting is underway now in Michigan, so if you want, go out and get that ballot.
Former President Trump at a rally in Saginaw.
Just go and vote. You got to vote. We got to win this election. Our country is being destroyed by this lunatic.
He also continues to criticize the administration's response to Hurricane Helene. Vice President Kamala Harris went to Georgia for an update in person yesterday and gets back to campaigning today with a rally in Wisconsin. President Biden visiting Georgia and Florida after touring hard-hit parts of the Carolinas yesterday and boosting federal aid, though the Homeland Security Secretary has already said more money will be needed.
Here's the question. Why is there money to help communities deal with illegal immigrants, a man-made disaster, but when it comes to a natural disaster, FEMA's coffers could bleed dry? But DHS has different accounts to help communities cope with the migrant crisis and handle the hurricane. Congress is now on track to approve additional money for FEMA later this fall.
Fox's Chad Pergram on Capitol Hill. TikTok is being sued again, this time by the Texas Attorney General, accusing the social media platform of violating state law by sharing children's personal information without consent from parents or guardians. The Justice Department is already suing TikTok, claiming violations of a federal Children's Privacy Act. TikTok and its Chinese parent company are suing the U.S. government over a possible ban. A sell-off on Wall Street, the Dow down 184 at the bell. Just getting word that Caitlin Clark is the WNBA Rookie of the Year. The Indiana Fever star, a nearly unanimous choice after a record-breaking season, including the first 2 triple-doubles by a rookie in league history. America is listening to Fox News.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Saline from Vicks.
Sinex Saline Nasal Spray?
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Saline instantly clears everyday congestion associated with colds and year-round allergies with a gentle, ultra-fine mist that's no mess and easy to control.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it.
Enjoy life's important moments without congestion. Try Sinex Saline from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
October is Cybersecurity Awareness Month. As the leader in identity theft protection, LifeLock reminds you to update your passwords. Using the same password across multiple accounts makes you vulnerable to cyber criminals. Updating your passwords is only one way to help protect yourself. For comprehensive identity theft protection, you need LifeLock. LifeLock not only alerts you to suspicious uses of your personal information, but also fixes issues that arise. Start protecting your identity today with a 30-day free trial at LifeLock.com, promo code.
Compromise when it comes to this essential right that all women possess from birth.
The Guardian reports in the book, she writes, a woman's fundamental right of individual liberty to her own life grants her authority to terminate her pregnancy if she wishes. In response, Vice President Kamala Harris's campaign cites former President Trump's role in ending Roe v. Wade. Former President Trump has said he believes the issue should be left up to the states. Kristen Goodwin, Fox News.
The former First Lady's memoir is set for release on Tuesday. The Biden administration is funding 4 electric power projects aimed in part at improving grid reliability.
The Department of Energy spending $1.5 billion in projects that it says could enable over 7,000 megawatts of new electric power capacity in Louisiana, Maine, Mississippi, New Mexico, Oklahoma, and Texas. Enough energy, it says, to power more than 7 million LED light bulbs. One of the projects is said to connect the isolated Texas power grid with power markets in the southeastern U.S. Research has suggested that connecting Texas to the nation's broader grid could have prevented some of the recent blackouts.
Fox's Jeff Manasso. Oil prices soaring over $74 a barrel today, an increase of more than 5% as tensions continue to escalate in the Middle East and as supply chain concerns mount with each passing day of a dock worker strike at 36 ports along the East Coast and Gulf Coast. Tomorrow, the September jobs report comes out. Today's stocks finish lower, the Dow dropping 184. And Lisa Brady, Fox News.
Well, we get everyone. Let's check weather for Central Illinois, Champaign, and vicinity. Overall, very quiet and eventful weather picture over the next 10 to 15 days. Plenty of opportunity for outdoor work and play, and ramping up as well of early harvest operations across our part of the Corn Belt. Sunshine for the day today. Light south-southwesterly wind will top out around 77. That's about 5 above average. Not quite as cool as recent nights for tonight. Fair skies, light south wind, lows at around 50 for the day tomorrow. Partly cloudy skies. Winds will shift around northeast by afternoon. Highs at 76 and back down to the upper 40s for tomorrow night. Weekend forecast, sunny to partly cloudy skies. Warm weather continues on at 81 for the day on Saturday, 79 on Sunday. And next cold front comes through here Sunday night, but no rain expected with it. We'll drop temperatures back to more seasonal levels Monday and Tuesday. Sunshine, highs either side of about the 70-degree mark. And then another slow warm-up around here. Rain-free over Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of next week as well. Lots of sunshine. Daytime temps in the 70s. For CVJ Broadcasting, I'm meteorologist Greg Solgay.
Who covered the Big Ten basketball media days today in Rosemont, and we bring on the Tapman's Towing phone line right off the top of the show the co-host of The Drive with Tay and Piper, and that is Derek Piper. What's up, Pipes?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good.
I'm here at the Rosemont Convention Center, and I'm in the lobby where they've got all the jerseys for all the Big Ten teams. Yes, 18 of them, both on the men's and women's side. So you got a lot of mannequins I'm standing out here next to. And it is just kind of jarring at how many teams there are in this new Big Ten.
I can't imagine. I think it'd be funny if you just went up and started talking to one of them and just let people try to figure out.
Interview.
Yeah, like, what is that guy doing? That would be, I know theft isn't a big thing on your list, but that would be pretty cool if you could thieve all 18 and bring them back to the radio station.
You know, at the very least, take the Illinois ones and put them in our station. That would look really good for decoration. So, you know, I can maybe sway Joey into taking one, and I'll take the other, and we'll see how far we get down the road.
Yeah, let's be right before the sirens come crashing. Well, listen, it seemed like it was a productive media day for Illinois and for Brad Underwood, Ty Rogers there as well. It just seemed like some good stuff came out of this, including Benham Rickhouse and how he was kind of talked well about. I think Ty Rogers, not that I have the perfect quote, but essentially said this is the most talented team I've ever played on, which is amazing coming off an Elite Eight run. So a lot of stuff to kind of digest and go through today.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Yeah, I enjoyed catching up with those guys. And let's just lead with that because Joey and I were talking afterwards, the media sessions, and that's the main thing that really stuck out is just how talented this team is, which we knew, but to hear them really confidently say it out loud and not to shy away from it.
Right.
And, hey, like you said, with Ty making that comment, that to be more talented than last year, of course, brings loads of expectation. And not that that's anything that is outside of what we kind of all have been broaching and understanding that, hey, if they live up to their potential, hey, if they can gel as a team, this could be a really, really high-ceiling group. But to hear Brad say he thinks this year's team has a higher ceiling than last year, to hear Ty say that after they just had Terrence Shannon, who is a program great, is in the conversation that in the last 30 years, maybe the best player to put on the uniform in that season that he had. So obviously Marcus, even though the Bulls did him dirty yesterday with, hey, here's Marcus year one. Oh, bye, Marcus. It was fun for 5 hours.
Yeah.
Obviously that was its own thing, but last year was really talented, but it's true. I mean, on paper, when you look at the recruiting rank, I think that's something that it's now about how fast can it all come together, because something that I asked Brad about today is, you didn't have this summer with everybody here, so how do you expedite that gelling process? How quickly does that happen? And we really won't know until they start playing games, and they'll play Butler in a closed secret scrimmage here in about a week and a half, and that will be the first indication that Brad will probably have of how far along they are.
I can't wait to hear what he has to say about that, although they don't really talk much about the secret scrimmage, but I can't wait to see this team. I know they were picked 4th by the media in the Big Ten out of 18 schools, as you pointed out a second ago, and then 8th in the coaches poll. I mean, I kind of get it with regards to the 4th. I kind of understand that, but 8th seems really low for a team that has put together quite a bit of talent. But Derek, like you just said, and that's why you're a professional, you went right to where I was going, it's going to probably take some time. And, you know, we saw that a couple years ago not work that well. Last year it worked incredibly well. So maybe this one is kind of somewhere in the middle, and we'll see how long it takes. But really it just comes to that, doesn't it? I mean, I think the talent level is better than 8th place in the Big Ten. It's just a matter of how will they gel and how will this team figure out how to win games.
No doubt. Yeah, they can definitely make that 8th look pretty low and bad at the end of the year potentially, and then maybe there are some times where there's a roller coaster ride. There's some highs and lows. You win a big game, and then you drop one you shouldn't because you're a young team or just one that hasn't fully established the consistency. That was one of the great things about having a really old team last year and guys that had been around the block a number of times, is that you expected them on most nights. Now, any team's going to be subject or capable of having a deflating performance or whatnot, but you kind of knew what to expect most night in and night out. But yeah, no doubt with the fact of being able to play up to your potential, there's certainly and asking the guys today, both Kylan and Ty, like how do you find that chemistry? How do you make sure this gelling process happens on the sooner end instead of later? And they talked about their off the court just bond and relationship, and the guys are all for each other and want to win. And not that we don't hear that usually most years at this time. And of course, that there are different ways of it playing out. 2 years ago, when the chemistry was off, the vibes were off, there were guys who maybe had selfish intentions, and when they hit adversity, they kind of maybe pulled apart at the seams rather than came together. Last year, they faced as much adversity and more really that you could have imagined when Terrence goes through what he goes through, and they have to be able to weather that. And it was a team that truly lived up to what they spoke, which is that they sacrificed for one another a lot. How quickly does he understand, where guys like it? Where's Humrickhouse at his best? How do I find him here? If I come off this screen from Arez, this is the way that the timing on that when he goes to the rim. Those are all just kind of little things that as you have it play out, that has to become habit and routine, and it will take a little bit of time. But obviously, they got a lot of practices here over the next month or so, and the tests early on in the schedule to really see what they got and try to achieve where they're ultimately going to go.
You mentioned there Kylan Boswell, Ty Rodgers, the two players that Brad Underwood chose to bring with him today. Does that kind of signal to you that those two are kind of going to be Brad's guys this year? Those two with probably the most experience at this level are the two that are kind of going to need to bring along some of these younger guys, and what stood out about what those two had to say about their role this year?
Yeah, no, I think it makes a lot of sense for those guys to be prime candidates, to be leaders. When you think about Ty was a starter on last year's team, he knows what Brad expects. He understands what's demanded on a daily basis regarding toughness and effort. And Ty's a really high character guy, really highly liked in terms of just his work ethic, his approach to the game. He's very selfless. If you're talking about a team over me player, Ty Rodgers is one of the poster boys for that, for sure. And so I'm sure there's that thought process into it with him. And I don't want to speak for Brad or for Ty either, but I think even if Ty wasn't a starter on this year's team, and we won't know obviously until this plays out here over the next month or so, but I would imagine Ty to still kind of have the same buy-in and mental mindset regardless of that, because he wants to win, and he is somebody that is just a low-maintenance player, it seems. So, and with Kylan, a guy that's was a starter on Arizona last year, a 2 seed. He's played a lot of college basketball up to this point. He's a hometown kid. I don't know how much that matters maybe in terms of the leadership standpoint, but a guy that will have the ball in his hands, and I think that is, Brad has to make choices in terms of who's coming here and representing the program. He's got plenty of talented guys to do that, but I would hope that Kylan and Ty are leading that charge. Obviously, Ben Humrickhouse can be part of that as an older player, and Trey White as well. So we'll see how that goes. And even Dre Gibbs Lawhorn, somebody that knows what to expect in Brad's program. So we'll see. We'll see as that goes along. But I like what I heard from those guys. And Ty in particular is not running from I'm one of the players to look to now, rather than, I was going to Coleman, I was going to Terrence, I was going to some of the other guys here in previous years for support. And
in a good spot right now as they have the bye week this week, and then, of course, Purdue at home, followed by the rededication game of Michigan coming up. But basketball is the focus. You mentioned a lot of names there. Merez Johnson, I saw today, has gained, incredible muscle, and he runs a 5-minute mile. Is this kid just – I know Brad talked about how we can now dump it in because he just goes and gets it wherever you throw it. We're going to be excited to watch Merez Johnson in an Illini uniform.
Absolutely. Very physically gifted. Like you said, already comes in with a nice strength base and has done a lot of good work with Fletch this offseason. And a guy that I think you'll notice it when you get familiar with seeing him on a game-in, game-out basis, just the motor and tenacity that he plays with. He is so tough. And talking to, Ty Streets, who's the head coach of Mean Streets, it's like, man, Merez he's crazy when he gets on the court. It's just one of those guys that he's such a warrior and competitor, wants every ball coming off the glass, wants to rock the rim when he gets that chance, and defensively can do a lot of things as well, cover a lot of ground and contest at the rim, and that's something that last year's team really lacked, is a shot blocker, rim protector on the back end, and the mobility that he has, I think as a 5-man too, can do a lot of different things, and I love the idea of him running in transition as well. We talk a lot about with this team the up-tempo, fast-paced, guards handling and pushing it. Well, if Merez can now run his big man down the floor, if it's Omar Ballo chasing him from Indiana or whoever it might be, that could be another asset that Merez brings to the table. So, yeah, we've all been waiting. It seems like forever ago they committed, and it's been awesome to watch him progress a lot, because it's a guy that was pretty raw. It was when you talked about Merez when he first committed, it was primarily like, hey, really good athlete, plays hard, but now he's added more skill to his game. He's refined his game. He's got more in his offensive bag than he did, and that will only continue to grow as he works more and more with Orlando Antigua. And yeah, it's a great thing for Fletch to build onto. You're not remaking a body; you're adding to something that's already pretty good to start off with.
I hate to turn things in a negative direction, but I have to ask. I saw Brad Underwood said that he thinks his team might give up 100 points to a 7th grade team right now, based on what he's seen. Okay. I know it's very, very early in the practice window here leading up to the season, but should we be concerned about that? What do you anticipate? We know how much offensive talent there is on this team, but defensively, what do you anticipate this team's going to look like?
That wasn't like a super shootout against Iowa State. You had to get some stops, in particular when Terrence was in foul trouble. So I do give them some credit for locking in and being a little bit better on defense when your season's on the line. But yeah, on the whole, last year was the worst defense that Brad's had since early on in his tenure, year 1, year 2 of his rebuild. And I don't think, even though he said that, the offensive side of the ball, maybe even some of the unsaid part of it, is that might, in his mind, have more value or just be where he's going to be geared with his lineups, and he wants to try to outscore you at times, and he'll be willing to put out shooters if it means giving up a little bit of the defensive end. But I think also to kind of circle back to the guys that were here, I think both Kylan and Ty can be high impact defenders. I think Ty now, I assume, not guarding point guards and being able to maybe focus more on the wing can put him in better positions to not get blown by quicker guys. And maybe he's learned some things in terms of getting through screens, and just now as a veteran, I think there's a lot of just different tricks of the trade you learn from being in the league for a number of years. And I'm sure Trent Frazier knew a lot more as a junior and senior and super senior than he did as an underclassman, as an on-ball defender. And Kylan's just really physical. Speaking of Trent, they've used, the staff has over the summer. I heard a lot, hey, could be Trent Frazier-esque as an on-ball type of guy in your shirt, really competitive guy at defensive end. And Dre Gibbs-Lawhorn's another guy that is going to have a chance to really show value at the defensive end. So I'm not sounding the alarm bells. I Brad does like to use some hyperbole here and there. I do think he was taking the opportunity to send a little bit of a message and light that fire, which we know he loves to do. But I do think, it's no surprise if you were to say, hey, this team's probably more capable offensively than they are defensively, but to be more consistent, you're not going to have Terrence Shannon every night. You're not going to have that 23 game. You're not going to have all those older guys that you expect to show up most nights. With younger guys, there's more inconsistency, and maybe when there's more times where it's harder to outscore people, you need to get those stops. So I do think that's important, big picture for this team as they go into the season.
Pipes, with all respect to Brad Underwood, he needs to stay in his lane when it comes to junior high basketball, because I've got more tenure than he does with that, right? There's not a 7th grade team scoring 100. I can promise you on that one. So he's embellishing quite a bit, actually, on that one. All right, last thing for me. Any other things stand out today? Maybe not necessarily about Illinois itself. Did you hear anything from another coach, another player, maybe on another team that kind of stood out to you, or were you just
in kind of that Huggins type of tree and whatnot, or being in Cincinnati similar to Huggins? So he's a gritty guy and then showed some personality. I'll have to look around. I'm out in the hallway, and there are still some coaches around. This is the most personality I saw from Greg Gard, so I'll give him credit for that. He cracked a couple jokes. I was like, oh man, this guy's he does have fun from time to time. So credit to him. Izzo's always a treat to listen to. It was interesting how you have like Eric Musselman take the podium and they say 11 transfers, most of any team in the NCAA, and then immediately Matt Painter goes up there and says, I love that we weren't in the portal this offseason, that we didn't have to worry about that. We were focused on our own guys, and everything is in-house for us. Even though they do have a ton of freshmen coming in as well. So just the different dynamics of the preference on how to build a roster is interesting. And I do think last thing I wanted to throw in there on the note of other teams, Ty Rodgers got asked, who's Illinois basketball's biggest rival now? And he did start with, for me, it's Purdue. And certainly, the last 2 years, those squads have been battling at the top of the league and have had some really consequential games late in the season, and the social media firestorm that Coleman Hawkins definitely stirred up too. But he throws in, Mizzou, I know, is a big rival, Iowa, and then he's like, Indiana's a big game always. And there was a follow-up, hey, got anything to say about Luke Goody making that thing any bigger? And he said no comment. So I don't know if he didn't want to add any extra fuel on that one or whatnot, but our old buddy Luke Goody getting a mention here today.
I love it. Luke wasn't there, I guess.
Was not, no.
Okay, all right. Well, listen, Derek Piper, it's always great to know that you're at a Big Ten Media Day, because that means the season is close at hand, and practice, of course, will get full underway. I guess, have they been practicing? I think they have, correct? So now they'll continue to do that, and we'll get this season. It'll be here before we even know it, my man.
It will, yeah. This past Monday was the first official practice of the fall for them, and they'll have whatever it is, 20-some practices leading up to game action. And the Ole Miss trip will be here. You're gonna have to lock in whether it's a firm yes or no. We got a little bit of time on that, but it's right around the corner, which is exciting. And I do appreciate, as I've been telling people around here, they're like, "How are things in Champaign?" I said, "Well, we have a football team that's worth paying attention to," which isn't always the case, as you all know. Get some laughs on that, but they're laughing because they know it's true. So we'll enjoy it.
Amen. Derek Piper, be safe getting back, buddy. Thank you.
Will do, guys. See you tomorrow.
Derek Piper, Tapman's Towing phone line. He will be in tomorrow. We're going to kind of, I don't know, I kind of went like a different language there. We are going to visit with Megan Montemurro tomorrow from the Chicago Cubs.
That's been the case since they've started.
Has that been the right? Okay.
I think this is the third year now, and I think only 2 of them have gone 3 games.
Wow, I didn't realize that. So tonight the Brewers will square off. Who are they all of a sudden? Thank you, the Mets.
Yeah, that was an electric game last night.
Yeah, what happened? The Brewers homered to win it?
Brewers were down 3-1, I think, and then Jackson Churio, their 20-year-old rookie who's been incredible for them, hit a game-tying homer in the bottom of the 8th, and then Garrett Mitchell, another young guy, had a go-ahead 2-run homer to send AmFam Field, as it's called now, into a frenzy. Should be a fun one tonight for sure.
So that's things like Jordan Walker should be doing, is what you're telling me? Yeah.
Well, yeah, I guess.
It seems the Brewers have done a pretty stinking good job of getting things.
I don't know how they do it.
I don't either, but they are getting it done. So, hey, I wanted to note also tonight it's Stuff Huff for the Illinois volleyball team, 6 p.m. against Nebraska. And we know Nebraska is always talented as all get out. Are you going to have a chance to go to that, Kyle?
I'm not sure. I'll have to see.
Nebraska ranks second in the country. You'll have to decide quick if you're going a 6 p.m. start.
I guess I will, yeah.
That thing's going to be packed. So this game will be on FS1 tonight. If you're not going to be at Huff Hall, you can watch this game on FS1, Illinois and Nebraska. This will not be easy for an Illini team that has been on the road. They have been on the road forever, it seems like. Since September 20th, essentially, was their last game at home and a loss to Missouri. They have dropped the first two of the Big Ten. Kind of interesting, Kyle, that they started their Big Ten like unlike any other team, right? They started on the West Coast swing. We now have a West Coast swing like we always have in baseball, right? When the Cardinals, it used to be more pronounced back in the day with the Cubs and Cardinals because you would go to the West Coast and essentially play the Giants, the Dodgers, the Padres, and you'd get all those done in like a 9-game, 10-day, let's say, stretch.
It all start at 9:30.
Yeah, right. So that used to be like when you went on a West Coast trip in baseball, you were really going on a West Coast trip. Now they kind of break it up a little more. But Chris Thomas's squad lost to number 11 Oregon to start off the Big Ten season and then lost to Washington. But they are now home to face number 2 Nebraska tonight. So tough one, no doubt, for the home opener in the Big Ten for Illinois volleyball. They also play again on Sunday, hosting Northwestern at 1 o'clock if you get a chance to get out there. All right, we heard from Derek Piper, who was at Big Ten Media Day. Brad Underwood had plenty to say. We chatted a little bit about that, including